I forbid you from talking back. You lazy, incompetent fool. Your inability to cook decently renders you utterly useless to me. Should you serve me another meal with a hint of imperfection, brace yourself for the inevitable divorce that awaits you. Consider this a warning and be mindful that any recurrence of your carelessness will spell the end of our supposedly happy married life. How dare you retort? The next time you open your mouth, I'll thrust divorce papers right in your face. My husband constantly brandished divorce threats after every minor disagreement. Fed up, I decided it was time to give him what he deserved. Hello, I'm Betty, a 41-year-old housewife and mother of 2 beautiful children. This is the tale of my revenge on Harold, my husband of the past 15 years. In the initial years of our marriage, Harold and I were happy, carefree individuals. However, after the birth of our first child, Jonathan, I left my job to become a full-time stay-at-home mom. 3 years later, we welcomed our second child, Ethan, who is now studying in college. I dedicated my life to managing the household and fulfilling the needs of my husband and children. Over time, I feel like I've lost my identity, running tirelessly to be the perfect wife and mother. Things have changed, and I am no longer the timid, unambitious woman I once was. Harold, too, has transformed into a rude and cruel man. The early years of our marriage were good, but I failed to pinpoint when things took a turn for the worse. Harold, a busy businessman, provided for our luxurious lifestyle, and I didn't complain. Our children attended the best schools, received top-notch education, and we enjoyed a life of luxury. However, Harold frequently missed crucial events in our children's lives: parent-teacher meetings, school annual days, and even their birthdays. I consoled the kids, assuring them that Dad was busy with work, but Mom was always there. However, the truth was that he simply didn't have time for us. He diligently works to provide us with all the comforts. Let's support him, okay? Okay, Mom, you always take his side. Harold's frequent absence from family events raised concerns. Despite my efforts to bridge the gap and shield the kids from any negative impact, Harold's attitude towards me grew colder. He seized every opportunity to ridicule and belittle me. I endured this silently most of the time, but when the criticism unfolded in front of the kids, things took an ugly turn. One ordinary day, as I was assisting Harold in packing for a business trip, he suddenly erupted in anger. "What the hell, Betty? Why is this suit not ironed properly?" "I think it got wrinkled while being kept in the closet. I'll iron it now. I spend the entire day taking care of things at home. Can't you understand? This is ridiculous. I'm annoyed by your carelessness now." Ethan, lying on the couch, overheard everything. Unable to bear Harold's harsh words, he spoke up. "Dad, Mom works very hard the whole day. How could you yell at her like this?" Harold was taken aback by Ethan's words. After a moment of shock, he snapped at Ethan. "Don't interfere in your parents' matters. Get up and go to your room." To diffuse the tension, I intervened. "Ethan, go and study in your room. I'll get you breakfast in some time." It was embarrassing. Ethan rolled his eyes and left. Harold's outburst in front of our son was humiliating. After all, kids learn from what they see. Dealing with Harold's escalating temper became increasingly challenging. His snarky remarks grated on my nerves, and both my kids started harboring a growing resentment towards his presence in the house. We found ourselves eagerly awaiting his departure from the office, hoping to have a peaceful day without his disruptive influence. In the comfort of his own home, Harold's business trips transformed into our version of a vacation. However, when he was home, Harold consistently exhibited a cranky demeanor, except for the rare occasions during his monthly house party. This event, hosted at our residence, brought together Harold's business partners, close friends, and key team members. I found myself tasked with organizing these gatherings each month, a responsibility that used to be a collaborative effort with Harold. Initially, planning these events was enjoyable as we meticulously outlined the theme, finalized the menu, and attended to numerous details together. As Harold's attitude changed and he became busier, the entire responsibility of organizing the party fell on me. While this monthly task wasn't burdensome, what began to weigh on me was Harold's constant criticism. He would scrutinize every detail, expressing dissatisfaction with my choice of food, cutlery, decoration, and more. Despite receiving thanks and appreciation from the guests, Harold's remarks consistently focused on perceived shortcomings. His critiques ranged from disliking the flower decoration to questioning the shrimp's cooking and complaining about insufficient ice cream for drinks. His comments even extended to the quantity of food ordered, accusing me of wasting it and criticizing the sweetness of the puddings. Harold's incessant poking left me exhausted, but I maintained a brave face in front of the guests to conceal our troubled marriage. After one such event, I decided to address Harold's criticism. Approaching him after the guests had departed and he resumed his habit of finding fault in every detail, I expressed my frustration. I questioned whether he realized the extent of his insults and highlighted my efforts to organize the best possible party for him and his guests. I emphasized that while appreciation was lacking, criticizing trivial details had become unbearable. Harold responded with his usual tasteless humor, mocking the idea of expecting appreciation for organizing a party. Determined to confront him, I decided to give him a piece of his own medicine this time. I don't anticipate anything positive from you, but could you please refrain from causing me further distress? Your words sound incredibly repulsive. Harold's ceaseless rants have become tiresome. As he embarked on yet another round of verbal onslaught, my intellectual abilities were reduced to a mere 5. Even though you lead a lavish lifestyle using my income, you should express gratitude for the expensive clothes and shoes you wear because of me. Harold never missed an opportunity to enumerate the favors he bestowed upon me, providing for my food and clothing. However, I had reached my limit, and it was time for me to reciprocate. You're not doing me any favors. I manage the household, raise the children, and attend to every intricate detail. You wouldn't last a day without me. You're clueless about laundry and grocery shopping. You don't need to show appreciation, but at least refrain from constantly belittling me. You dismiss household chores like laundry and dishes as trivial work. Some women effortlessly balance work and household responsibilities, showcasing beauty, intelligence, and efficiency. Are you nothing more than a lazy housewife spending your days idly watching TV? It seems you're captivated by the idea of a working woman. Caught off guard, Harold paled and lost his temper, threatening me with divorce papers if I dared to talk back again. I was shocked. This was unexpected. Although I yearned to confront him and end the humiliation by throwing the divorce papers in his face, I knew my case was weak, lacking evidence of Harold's monstrous behavior. Determined to expose Harold's darker side, I meticulously devised a plan. Acquainted with his daily routine and triggers, I strategically installed hidden cameras in the living and dining areas. After a few days of setting up the cameras, I initiated my plan. The objective was to provoke Harold, capturing his disruptive behavior on camera. Harold required minimal provocation. Even a slight delay in breakfast could lead to a barrage of insults. One morning, deliberately taking extra time to serve breakfast, I positioned myself to trigger his reaction. As Harold sat at the table with the children, I deliberately delayed serving his breakfast. "Where the hell is the breakfast? Just 10 minutes, honey. Meanwhile, have the orange juice kept on the table," I calmly responded. After 10 minutes, Harold erupted, complaining about the time taken to prepare a simple breakfast. Rushing from the kitchen, I served the sandwiches, deliberately roasting them a little more than usual. As Harold criticized the sandwich, I picked it up to display on camera, asserting that it was not burned and entirely edible. In response, he lashed out, threatening divorce if I served him blistered food again. Storming out of the house, we rolled our eyes and enjoyed the sandwich in peace. Days later, another opportunity presented itself to capture evidence. Harold, getting ready for work, couldn't find his socks in the closet. Shouting at the top of his voice, he demanded to know why his socks were not in their usual place. Calmly admitting my mistake, I continued documenting his outbursts for future evidence. I stored it in the adjacent drawer, accompanied by a handkerchief. My apologies. He sighed with frustration and returned to the room. After a moment, he emerged once more, shouting, "There's only one pair of socks. What happened to the others?" "Well, they're dirty. I forgot to send the soiled clothes to the laundry yesterday. I'll take care of it today, don't worry. How can you be so careless about your work? Your only responsibility is to manage the house, and you neglect that too." "Harold, there's a fresh pair of socks for today. I'll clean the others later." "Why are you making such a fuss about it?" "It's not about the clothes, it's about discipline. Why am I discussing discipline with a useless housewife?" "Why are you always so mean to me, Harold? You need to be taught a lesson. If you repeat this carelessness, it could be the end of our happy married life." With these words, he slammed the bedroom door, got ready for work, and left the house. Once he was gone, I locked the room, retrieved the camera, and reviewed the footage to ensure it captured everything accurately. I documented numerous instances of abuse and gaslighting, providing substantial evidence of my tumultuous marriage. Although every time Harold raised his voice I wanted to leave, I restrained myself. I patiently awaited the monthly business party, planning a surprise that would expose the truth about my marriage. As the event approached, I meticulously organized the details. The gathering took place on the lawn outside our house, and this time I arranged for a large screen setup. In the invitation email, I requested everyone to send a brief video clip discussing their favorite life adventure, promising to play these clips during the monthly event. The idea received positive feedback, including from Harold. Yes, you guessed it correctly. I intended to showcase these recordings at his business party. Everyone in his company would learn about Harold's true character. On the day of the event, after finalizing all the arrangements, I retreated to my room to prepare for the grand reveal. I took more time than usual to prepare. As the guests began to arrive, Harold stood alone on the lawn, welcoming them. I anticipated that he would be upset by this. He marched into the room where I was still getting ready and unleashed his frustration, questioning why I needed so much time and accusing me of acting like a celebrity. Despite his outburst, I remained calm, realizing that Harold's true nature would soon be revealed. "I'll be there in 18 minutes, I assured him. Angrily, he demanded my presence outside within the next 10 minutes, or face the threat of divorce that day. Unfazed, I agreed, stating that if he wanted a divorce so desperately, I would fulfill his wish that night. Harold retorted, expressing disbelief and questioning how he would manage without me. Dismissing his concerns, he instructed me to leave the room and attend to the guests. Hurriedly, I greeted everyone, genuinely enjoying the evening with the guests. Harold continued his critical behavior, sending disapproving looks my way. As the time for the planned activity approached, I played the videos sent by the guests. While they enjoyed the clips, I returned to my room to retrieve the final footage recorded that evening. Discovering that the camera in my room was still on, I intended to edit the recordings, but found something unexpected. In my haste to leave the room earlier, a hidden camera captured Harold entering with a senior colleague from his workplace. Despite the darkness obscuring the visuals, the footage hinted at them entering and turning off the lights. The recorded sounds were the damning evidence I never imagined. Overwhelmed with anxiety, I debated whether to reveal the incriminating footage. At that critical moment, I heard Harold's voice, further complicating the situation. "Why on earth are you back in the room? The projector screen has malfunctioned and it needs fixing immediately. The guests are eagerly waiting for it. If I catch you slacking off in this room again during the party, rest assured you'll face consequences for your laziness." Without uttering a word, I understood my responsibility. I headed outside, resolved the screen issue, and added the necessary footage to the playlist. Holding the remote firmly, I awaited the commencement of the unsettling show. As the videos depicting the assault unfolded, a wave of shock swept across everyone's faces. People stared at each other in disbelief. Harold, who had been enjoying his time with clients, suddenly found himself on the screen, hurling abuses, gaslighting, and humiliating me. Harold, overcome with anger and frustration, unleashed his fury upon me when he realized he couldn't act in the presence of business partners and clients. The climax unfolded as he attempted to seize the remote from my hands. "Stop this right now!" he demanded. However, in the company of his associates, he was powerless. It was my turn to seek justice for the years of trauma and humiliation. This was just a preview. The complete recording would be handed over to the police. But for now, I wanted everyone to witness the climax. I reminded him that if he was so eager for a divorce, he could have it tonight. Fast-forwarding to the last footage, where Harold was seen entering the room with another woman, I paused the video. That glimpse was enough for everyone to comprehend the situation. The unexpected turn of events left everyone in shock. Harold's mistress hurriedly left the party, concealing her face. Harold sought refuge in the bathroom to escape embarrassment. Whispers and gossip filled the air. I broke down, and Harold's friends, whom I had befriended over the years, offered comfort and support. Despite the trauma my children had to endure, they expressed pride in my actions. "Well done, Mom. I'm so proud of you," they reassured. It was time to leave the unsettling atmosphere. "Let's go. We can't stay here any longer." I had meticulously packed all our belongings, foreseeing that staying in our current house was no longer viable after the recent events. Seeking refuge, I headed to my parents' home. With my father having passed away a few years ago, my mother, living alone, graciously welcomed us. Additionally, my father's wise financial planning had left us with a substantial inheritance, providing the means for a contented life. Engaging my father's lawyer, I initiated the divorce proceedings against Harold. The terms presented included claims for alimony, a share in his business, and child support. During the trial, Harold cast me a resentful glance, as if harboring ill intentions. In response, he attempted to sue me for defamation, but his efforts were futile as the truth upheld my claims. The divorce process, lasting a year, ultimately concluded in my favor, securing alimony and child support. After the incident, many of Harold's friends and colleagues extended their support to me, shocked by the monstrous portrayal of Harold. His reputation suffered a severe blow in the eyes of business partners and clients, leading to a decline in his business. His employees, too, looked down upon him. Harold and his mistress, indulging in an affair without intentions of marriage, faced consequences when news reached her husband, resulting in her expulsion. My objective was not to inflict harm, but rather to unveil Harold's darker side to the world, asserting my rights and protecting my children. My primary concern is instilling values of loyalty and self-respect in my children. As they approach adulthood, they will soon take charge of their lives. Until then, we are residing with my mother, fostering a happy family environment.